We are joined, as always, by Husker Alliance Sean Callahan. Sean, good morning. We are 1 day away from kickoff. Nebraska, Cincinnati tomorrow in Arrowhead Stadium. I'm curious, we heard from Matt Rule yesterday. Anything that came from that was eye-opening to you in his final appearance before Nebraska plays tomorrow, Sean?
Oh, just kind of his clarity on the black shirt process and announcing the initial 10, and it sounds like we might get an 11th black shirt between Keona Davis and Jalen George. No real surprise to me that Kyle Cunanan is going to be the kicker.
Okay.
Look, Mike Eckler brought in two guys, Archie Wilson and Kyle Cunanan, and those are going to be the two starting specialists. So that shouldn't be a surprise. I know John Hall had a good year last year, but they clearly brought in Cunanan. They like the way he strikes the ball.
Okay.
So he'll get his first go at it. And, it's going to be a long wait now. The team will get on those buses, leave at 1 o'clock, hit Arrowhead Stadium at 4. And then, from there, kind of have a lot of time to wait. They're going to go see the movie Superman tonight, I guess, and have a walkthrough at a local high school tomorrow as well. At 8 o'clock, it's rare to play a game that late in the central time zone. So a lot of time till 8 o'clock now.
There's a lot of facts that you have in your head, Sean, that I want you to bring to the air. One is, what is the stat you told me the other day about Nebraska in openers against Power 4 competition?
So they have not won a Power 4 opening game of the season, a season opener, since 2003. That was the Oklahoma State game with Les Miles and Mike Gundy, and they were a ranked Oklahoma State team. Nebraska is 0-6 since that Okie State game and Power 4 openers. And the Colorado game I count as a Power 4 opener from 2018 because that was the opener, even though the Akron game was the opener, and they got a kickoff in before they pulled the plug and never played the game. So they played 6 of them. I count BYU in that group now too because I look at them as a not your typical pay a team to come in and get a win type of game, and then BYU was a good team. So they're 0-6 in those games since 2003.
Good stat, Sean.
Yeah, it's a good stat. We had Mo Egger on this show last week from Cincinnati. He says he thinks there's nobody at all coming for the Bearcats fan base. Nobody.
I talked to Mo yesterday again.
Was it an update?
I talked to Mo yesterday again, Sean, and he said he still has not talked to, and he means it. He's not joking around. From Cincinnati, who's going to the game, does that surprise you?
Yeah, Cincinnati's kind of in a pickle. They wanted this game, obviously, in Lucas Oil Stadium. And, guys, I think it would have been half full there. I don't think it would have been a good showing. On a Thursday night, Lucas Oil, because you cut the Nebraska number in half, maybe 20, 25,000 versus 60, 65,000. Indianapolis is not easy to get to, especially on a Thursday. So you wouldn't have near the Nebraska fans if this game was out there. And then it doesn't feel like there's a lot of Cincinnati fans too fired up to go either.
Nope.
So I think they made the right business move. But, yeah, this is going to be louder than Memorial Stadium. It really is, because this is not your traditional game day SAC crowd where, the longtime season ticket holders that have had tickets for 50 years get the good seats. Anybody that wanted to pay the money and get on Master had access to get the good seats. So you're going to get probably more of a younger drinking type crowd in the stadium. And it's going to be a lot. And the tailgating is obviously going to be 4.5 hours long in the parking lot before the game starts. So it's going to be one of the more unique environments I think we've seen with Nebraska fans, where they're going to have, more of a younger kind of feel probably in the lower bowl, as well as the students will have seats down there, and then the tailgating scene leading into the game.
So by Sean Callahan. Sean K, go back to your stat is concerning about the Power 4 opponents starting off the season. That's rough. So I'm curious, if Dylan is the most important person in this game for Nebraska to get the win, is there a clear second most important person that needs to have a great game to you for Nebraska?
The interior, well, both interior lines. Okay. O-line, obviously, with the Corleone matchup they're going to have, but the D-line. Because what plan is probably going to be for Cincinnati. They're going to try to chunk at that interior Nebraska D line and see if they can get those consistent 4 to 5 yard gains with the running backs. And Sorsby is a big runner, 235 pounds. And if they're third and shorts, he's going to be able to pick a lot of those up if he wants to run for him. So I do think the early down defense is going to be critical for Nebraska. to get it into a situation where you could dial something up on third down.
Yeah, because I think that could be Nebraska's strength, Sean, the athleticism of the linebackers, the blitzing from the linebacker position. The question I wanted to ask you is going back to what you said about what rules meeting with reporters yesterday. The dynamic of they're choosing between Jalen George and Keona Davis for that final black shirt. Talk to me about Jalen George. Sean, Jalen George was not – remember when he came from the portal? We didn't make a big deal out of Jalen George. Discuss the evolution of Jalen George.
Yeah, when you sign portal guys, there's kind of Williams, Nwaneri, Desan McCullough type guys that are big money acquisitions. And there's guys like this or, Gabe Moore or, maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. But I was immediately, when I looked at George, he played a lot of snaps. He was an all-conference player. And when you recruit the smaller conference guys, that you look for that. You look for production. You look for their track record versus sometimes you can take a Power 4 guy that was once a highly touted recruit that has no production, and then you're kind of hoping that maybe you can figure out why he didn't pan out at that other school. But a lot of times, as Coach Bush would know, it's not that easy. There's usually a reason why they leave that school. Well, George is a productive player, and now he's been able to be at Nebraska since January, and he's gained good weight. He's trained. He's never had access to the resources he's had here. So I think he's come on and developed his body up to 290, 295 now. And I do think he has been a pleasant surprise to the point where Keona Davis, arguably one of the prettiest players off the bus for Nebraska, and him are battling it out for a black shirt.
Yeah, interesting.
Sean, I'm curious, in terms of this game, in terms of game plan for Dana Holgorsen, do you expect to see a balanced attack offensively with rushing and passing, or do you see a lean more towards pass or run? What do you expect to see from Holgorsen's offense tomorrow?
It's always tricky because I'm sure it depends on how Cincinnati plays Nebraska and what they dictate the call. If they're going to load it up and try to stop the run, they're going to play the numbers probably and hit the short, quick passes. So a lot of it is probably driven by Cincinnati, but I think you want to be as close to 50-50 as you can with this offense. And I'm really interested, though, in the quick passing game, the timing of it, how it looks, if they hit those blocks on the perimeter to set up some of the things that Dana wants to do with this offense, because we know that was a problem a year ago. They just weren't a very good perimeter blocking team. So what does that look like in game one? They've had a long camp. I mean, we've heard this now multiple times. This has been the longest camp ever in terms of just having so much practice time to get themselves ready for this game. And they started it back in July when they kicked off camp. So they've had a lot of time to get to this point. And now, as Dana said, we just got to go play somebody and see what it looks like.
Okay, speaking of that, we've made it pretty far into this interview without talking about the left tackle position at all. Mm-hmm. Gunnar Gatula of Lincoln Southeast, who's a sophomore now, started 9 games last year. Gunnar could be the starter at left tackle, or Pritchett, Elijah Pritchett, the Alabama transfer, the Ballyhoo transfer. Who's starting, Sean? Who's starting at left tackle?
They've played this one close to the vest. Everybody has, and even the people we know and talk to. I still would not be surprised if it's Pritchett. I know they've kind of tried to lead us off that trail that it's not him, but I still wouldn't be shocked at all if it's him. I think how his week goes, how he prepares the last few days will probably play a factor. The good news is they got 2 good options. They got last year's left. I mean, think about it like this. They basically have 3 guys that have started left tackle on this roster. Turner Corcoran was a left tackle starter. Gunnar Gatula replaced him, started left tackle. Teddy Prohaska has been a left tackle starter. And now you've got this situation here with Elijah Pritchett, who's played left and right tackle. I mean, Dana Holgorsen said, he's like, I've never actually been a part of a team where we've had this many tackle options. And, the data backs that up. I mean, 7 of these 8 linemen have started, of the top 8 have started Power 4 schools in the SEC, the Big Ten, or Notre Dame. So they've got a really, really good group, and they have the flexibility, I think, too, to make a change in a game if something's not going right.
Sean, I'm going to ask you an interesting, simple question. Who's Nebraska's best offensive lineman?
Man, I probably lean towards Rocco Spindler.
Whoa.
Because, I mean, multi-year starter, played in the national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of being prospect-wise, it's Elijah Pritchett. Elijah Pritchett might be the best draft prospect on this roster right now, today.
Wow.
Like, in terms of, if an NFL scout came to Nebraska and just eyeballed the team and looked at the players they had, I think Pritchett would be the guy the scouts would be like, yeah, that's probably their best potential draft prospect.
Not Dylan. Not Dylan?
Oh, again, I've not seen any first-round grades for Dylan yet.
Okay.
I mean, he's got to do it this year. I do think Dylan's up there for sure. But what I still think last year didn't show scouts enough. I mean, what was it, 13 and 11 touchdowns to picks last year?
It was, Sean.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, I mean, no scouts can be like the first rounder yet.
No,
so
you
got to prove.
Yeah.
He's got to prove it. I mean, I think Pritchett, that position generally is, more of a first round type deal when you talk about tackles and DNs. And for quarterbacks, you've got to have the whole package to follow up to that level. And you hope that this year is that type of year for Dylan Raiola.
Sean, there are always moments in every game where there's a quiet hush in the press box, more than normal, and a lean in to watch something closely. Is that the moment tomorrow night, Sean, when we see Archie Wilson's first ever punt with all the hubbub and buzz around him? Is that the moment we see the lean in from the press to watch what's happening and be very intent on the action, Sean?
Yeah, this is the most intrigued I think Nebraska fans have been with a punter that I can ever remember. And, his story is unique. The situation with him at the podium, I've never seen happen at Nebraska, where a player, international athlete, has, kind of lost his, got emotional being away from home, and his birthday was coming around the corner. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are excited. I'm interested how they use him. One of the things I've heard is he'll hold the ball for a long time. He'll read the rush, and he is not afraid to hold that ball an extra second or two if he knows they're not rushing, to let his people get down there.
That's gonna make me nervous.
Same here. You will be watching.
They're rolling out to the right or the left, so they can kind of hold the ball a little bit longer too. I mean, I think the whole design of this scheme, you're going to see Nebraska's coverage units be down there. And Iowa did that. I mean, look, think about Iowa last year. I mean, they caused Garcia Castaneda to muff that punt and turn the whole game because all their guys are right around him so I think you'll see Nebraska's coverage units get down the field and make it near impossible for Cincinnati to get good returns.
Impossible question to answer for you, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think we all agree special teams will be better. How much better do you think we'll see special teams this year?
Well, the kicking was fine last year. I mean, Hull was good down the stretch, but I still think Cunanan will give them a more consistent option. The snapping is going to be better. That was a big problem last year, as you know, the operation of the kicking game, and the punting game for that matter. 10 block kicks and punts. So it can only be better than what we saw a year ago. And then the punting, it's different than what, they had good punting last year at times, but I just think the unknown factors, the directional factors that Wilson can bring to the table make it highly unique, where he can punt left and right foot equally as well, which is just not the norm other than Jackson Ross at Tennessee, who was also a Mike Eckler recruit from Pro Kick Australia.
30-yard line and in on field goals seems to be, they feel good about that. Isn't I'm just as a statement more than a question. Isn't the acid test more about 40 yards and out, a 40-yard field goal and out? Is that what we're talking about now? They got to prove they can hit that.
I like to use the 25-yard line on in, which is a 42-yard kick on in.
Okay.
Because you have 7 yards. Some people have 8 yards for the distance. And, so a 42-yard kick on in is kind of, to me, where you've got to see a good percentage. 42 to 52 or 42 to 55, as we know, is a lot harder at the college level, not the pro level, but the college level it is. So that will be something just to gauge, like, how confident are they once they get in the 25 to take the 3? Because as we know, the last couple of years, they've been more inept to go for it on fourth down a lot. Just knowing the situation, the inconsistencies they had with the snapper, not just the kicking stuff, but the snapper was a big problem last year as far as the kicks go.
Sean, I've been curious. We mentioned, again, not many fans going from Cincinnati, but I haven't seen anybody in picks pick the Bearcats anywhere. It's been all Nebraska. 6.5. They're not a 20-point favorite. They're a 6.5-point favorite. Like, is there part of you that thinks that people are just overlooking Cincinnati and that this is just a given for Nebraska? Because I don't feel that way at all on my end.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jake. I've not seen one pick for the Bearcats anywhere.
None.
Not one.
Wow.
And I'm sure people scour that pretty hard. But I just think the home field advantage situation, the crowd noise for an opener, I just think. And then look, the Big Ten in general is just a better league than the Big 12 in terms of the quality of player top to bottom on the roster. You can't deny that. I get that Arizona State pushed Texas. And that was kind of one of those type of situations that can happen. But look at Colorado last year. That was a 9-3 Big 12 team, and Nebraska dominated them up front.
Sean, always good stuff. Enjoy the game tomorrow, and we will chat with you again next week.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
Husker Online, Sean Callahan.